Welcome to How to Modernize Revenue Accounting, a panel discussion brought to you by the Controllers Council. My name is Neil Brown, Executive Director of the Controllers Council, and before I introduce our expert panelists and our partner sponsor, let me share some brief housekeeping items. We'll have Q&A at the end of the presentation, so please use your GoToWebinar control panel to ask our experts questions. Next, the webinar is CPE eligible with 3 polling questions, so please answer each poll for CPE or just to benchmark your peers. Please do allow 1 week for CPE certificates. Also regarding CPE, you'll receive a brief survey directly after the webcast today, so please complete that. And finally, you'll receive a link to this webcast via email in the next 24 hours, so no need for notes or screenshots. With that, I'd like to share a word about our sponsor and partner, ZUORA. ZUORA Inc., NYSE ZUO, provides a leading monetization suite for modern businesses across all industries. ZUORA serves an intelligent hub that monetizes and orchestrates the complete quote-to-cash and revenue recognition process at scale. Through industry-leading technology and expertise, ZUORA helps more than 1,000 companies around the world, including Caterpillar, General Motors, Penske Media, Siemens, and Zoom, nurture and monetize direct and digital customer relationships. Headquartered in Silicon Valley, ZUORA operates offices around the world in the Americas, EMEA, and APAC. To learn more about ZUORA Monetization Suite, please visit zuora.com. With that, I'm very pleased to introduce our expert panelists. Winston Haight is Director of Product Marketing at ZUORA. Matt Dobson is SVP and Chief Accounting Officer at ZUORA. And Rachel Noel is Director of Revenue Accounting at ZUORA. Welcome, panelists, and Winston, take it away.
Well, thanks so much, Neil. I really appreciate it. And let's go ahead and bring ourselves up on camera here so everyone can see us. We're really glad to be able to spend some time with you all. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. And also, if you've tuned in to watch the recording, we appreciate you spending some time with us as well. So what we want to kind of go over today is kind of go through kind of a background of what we had done at ZUORA to go through our process and the decisions that drove that process for us to go through and modernize our revenue accounting system. Be able to sit there and kind of walk through the steps that we've taken and how it went. And also then to be able to provide some of the learnings to you that you can use to help for your company for as they start to look at. You may be in the middle of a project, you may be planning one, or you may be thinking about it. Kind of give you some of those best practices to take a look at and be able to plan to help drive some success for your business. So I think to get things started, I think we'd love to jump into the first polling question and be able to ask for right now, currently, how long does it take for you all to do your days to close? So is it less than 5 days, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, or is it over 16? So if you want to go ahead and just take a moment and go ahead and fill that out, that would be great.
Right, and please use your GoToWebinar control panel to vote early. And I won't say often just because I'm from Chicago, but. People are voting fast, so. Give it a few more seconds. And let's go ahead and close it out. We'll share the results just briefly. We won't analyze them today, but all right, well, let's move on.
Great, well, thanks everyone for that. And I think what you're gonna find is, as we went through our journey with ZUORA, we actually started with over a 15-day close and we brought it down to a 5-day close. And so I think it's important for us to kind of walk through what we did and the success that we had.
Yeah, that's perfect. Just a little background. I started ZUORA about 3 years ago. And when I started, we did have a close process. It took more than 15 days. We're a public company, so really focused on quarter closes. And that 15 days was business days. You know, the team was working weekends, lots of late nights, and that really drove a lot of staff turnover. You know, and in my experience, I worked in revenue at another software company. You know, it's hard to get good people on the revenue team. You're hiring a lot of people that are coming out of public accounting. They have good experience, and you know, they don't want to spend the entire month closing, right? They don't want to be doing that kind of detailed work, checking spreadsheets. They really want to be partnering with the business. And because of our longer process, I think it really drove some staff turnover. We have a few people who came in, they would last a year and they'd go on to other opportunities. And it just took us too long to get our numbers, right? The faster you have the numbers, the faster you can action it, particularly, you know, month ends that are leading to a quarter end. You want to know where the revenue number is. You want to know what's impacting it. And we weren't getting those numbers until basically the end of the month subsequent to the close. And we had 10 years of kind of technical debt, right? I think it's similar to a lot of companies. Things had changed over time. We adopted 606. We have, you know, longer term contracts that have gone on, you know, over a number of years and been modified. So there was just a lot of data in different places, manual entries that were being made, and all of that led to that longer close process. So when I came on board, you know, one of the big things I talked to our CFO, Todd, about was, you know, we needed to figure out a way to drive that down. And the biggest item for us was really around revenue. I think, you know, for most controllers or chief accounting officers or CFOs, you know, that's the most important number you're reporting. Definitely has the most risk. It's kind of the thing that keeps you up at night. So we wanted to make sure we could drive down close, but obviously we didn't want to sacrifice any accuracy. But we also wanted to make the job a better job for the people who were doing the work. So in May of 2021, you know, we were kind of in a situation where we had deal structures that weren't supported by our revenue system. We had a ton of customizations that we had built over time. Anything we wanted to do, it needed a customization, or we needed to make sure it worked in the system. And I partner closely with the sales team in my role. I work a lot on deals. And one thing that was frustrating to me was there were deal structures that maybe made sense commercially that we were saying no to because we couldn't manage the revenue recognition. Obviously, that's a bit of the tail wagging the dog, and we wanted to make sure that finance or accounting wasn't the reason we weren't doing certain things. So it was definitely holding us back commercially, right? I think there were situations where maybe it cost us a deal, maybe we did something that was less than ideal just because of the way the system worked. So that was the situation we were in, and we needed to address.
No, and that's great. And I think one of the things to maybe get into, and Rachel, you can kind of start, I think, talking to this a little bit, is we kind of had these original business objectives for the project. We had to kind of narrow down into 4 different buckets. One was best-in-class business processes. How do we achieve that? Being up to date on the latest ZUORA product. I think you're always trying to stay up to date on the latest technology that vendors have, and we're no exception, especially when even using our own product. And then showcase the implementation for customers and sales, and then iterate on new business. And I think, Rachel, if you can go through each of these and maybe kind of talk through the pieces that are there and kind of talk through what success we, you know, these are the objectives, but how did we do against those? What were we able to achieve?
Absolutely. So the first quadrant says have best-in-class business processes. And the first one was we wanted to reduce our close to 6 days or less. And we managed to achieve that because we're now at a 5-day close. And we'll go into that a little bit later. We also streamlined our billing and revenue operations. Now data flows seamlessly between the 2 modules and makes it a lot easier during the close process. On the up to date on the latest ZUORA products, we wanted to be our own best customer and provide feedback to the product team. That's definitely happening now. We work closely with the product team and are constantly giving feedback on features and determining which new features we're going to adopt. We moved to full orders and invoice settlement, which helped us a lot in getting a faster close and being able to create orders in a more timely fashion. We also use the ZUORA Revenue native integration, which again has helped move the data between billing and revenue seamlessly. And then as a showcase for customers and sales, I've been able to talk to other users about how we're using the tool, and we've been able to share ideas back and forth. And then as far as iterating on new business needs, you know, like Matt mentioned previously, there were deals that we weren't able to do in the systems before that we are now, such as bundles and pooled models that, make sense commercially, and we're now not saying no to them because of how our systems are operating. Because we're on the latest tech stack, we're able to adapt to new features more easily. And then we feel that we're going to be able to handle any new business models that come our way. So, for example, if we wanted to do a consumption model, we would be able to now with the tools that we have.
No, and that's great. Thanks, Rachel. I think it's a great summary. And I think that kind of feeds really well into the next polling question that we have. And Neil,